I fought him off me. This day, he didn't have any clothes on. Imagine him running around with no clothes on. He was pulling my clothes down. I was fighting him. I was pulling the blinds of the curtains of the things down, trying to... What up? What up? What up? Gay. What up? What up? What up? Gay. What up? What up? What up? Gang, it's your girl, the baddest, and I'm back with another video, another story time. I'm back with another story time. Yes, and it's currently raining outside, which I love the rain. I love it when it rains. I am at peace when it rains. I love it. Hopefully this... Yep. Today's story time is a very particular subject of my life, which started like in the beginning. As you can see by the title, the story time about my molestation. So, my story. I really don't want to tell this story right now. It's not like I don't want to talk about it, but I don't know how to sum it up in these little bitty minutes that I have. I'm gonna probably have to do a part 2 depending. Okay, so let's get into the video. Before I get to the video, please comment below what other videos that you might want to see from me. If there's any other question that you have that you want me to do a video on about this actual subject, just feel free to comment below or DM me on my Instagram, or comment below. Okay, this stage of the story time is from age 8 years old till about 12, because then I have another step after that. Yeah, this is around the time where I'm like, happy kid. I was in elementary school. I was like a really excited kid that loved school, loved learning. I always got good grades. I was a kid that people was never not wanting to keep me when I was younger. Even before that, I always been a good baby. My mom said, I'm still, a good person. Shout out to me, you feel me? In my family, my dad has 2 sisters. One of them passed away. That's another story time for that. But yeah, and I actually was named after her. She had a child which she left behind for particular reasons. My aunt that passed away, her son, and my aunt, which is my dad's sister, was put with her father, which she was raised with, and he was raised there too. At one point, they sent, which is my grandfather, this is my dad's dad, he sent him off to a boarding school. I think it was like in Mississippi, and somehow it was some reason that he came back. Something happened where he got kicked out, so he came back. So at that time, my grandma was thinking that, they were doing things like trying to, basically it was about my grandfather's wife, and it was like a abusive situation. It's another story time for that, and I'm gonna let them tell their story, so I can't really do a story time on that because I don't know. I just know that it was, speculation that she was abusing them in the household. So when my grandma had a whiff of that, and she ended up getting in contact with my aunt that passed away's son, which is my cousin, she wanted to try to push her way into try to getting you know, like custody of him and putting him in her custody and stuff like that. So she ended up getting where she got him, because usually where we were is where I'm from. So when my grandma didn't stay there, she stayed in Tallahassee, Florida. So she came down, and when it was time for her to, you know, get him to, you know, come stay with her, I was with her, you know, because I always was around with my grandma growing up. We used to go to Tallahassee and stay with her, and this was his first time going, so I didn't think nothing of it. But before this happened, we was at my father's house, and he was there, right? The first thing or the first sign that I can say that I can look back and pinpoint was when he did this, which I thought, you know, in the beginning, I'm, you know, just comfortable kid. I was a comfortable kid. I was a free, never thinking of none of these things, you know. So he walked up to me and he was like, I don't even think he said nothing to my recollect. I think he just came up to me and gave me a kiss on my lips. And me as a child, I was like 8 years old, 9 years old, and I'm like taken back. First of all, I'm thinking like, only time I got a kiss is like from my parents. You know what I'm saying? Not my cousin. But then I just brushed it off because I was a child. I just let it loose. But in that moment, I did feel like it was a wrong thing, because I'm like, kiss on the mouth, like what, you know, you ain't my dad, you know, type thing. But I let it go. I never thought that day was going to be the start of something, you know. And because I didn't say anything, which I'm going to say this, predatory molesters, a lot of times they have a tactic, and his tactic was in the beginning to do what he did was to kiss me on my mouth and to see if I was going to tell someone. To be honest, I think it's kind of like I was weak. To be honest, I don't want to say it, but because certain kids is just outspoken and they'll be like, my cousin, he kissed me on my mouth, and then even the way she said, the mom gonna be like, what? So that was the weak part. In the beginning, I didn't understand. I never understood. I never understood until I got older. But as far as when I recollect that it was like kind of wrong and that I didn't like it, I didn't like what he was doing, but not telling nobody was the weak point in my life. You know what I'm saying? So let me just get back. Yep. So we went on to Tallahassee, and I stayed with my grandma. And while I was staying there, I used to sleep in a room. His mom ashes used to like sit on the dresser. They were like, it was like a 14 karat gold box. She had got cremated, and her name was on it and stuff like that. He used to come in there and just, you know, I'm gonna say it was kind of like I didn't get raped, but he was like doing stuff to me that, you know, I was a child, you know what I'm saying? And it just got repetitive, and I just felt like he was disrespectful to his mom. His mom was sitting right there on the dresser, and I just kept thinking it was evil. After I didn't, because I already didn't like it in the beginning when I seen that he was doing certain things, and I just didn't like it. I already was kind of like uncomfortable feeling until I, you know, down the line figured what it was that he was doing and knew how to, you know, attack the situation. It was just right now I was confused on what he was doing, confused on who he really was, and I'm thinking like, this is my aunt, this is my cousin, that just kept thinking like, what is he doing? And I was 8, 9 years old. I didn't really know what he was doing, you know. But yeah, it just kept going. I used to be upset, so mad, angry. I wasn't saying nothing. That's another thing that made me so like bursting in flames, that I just didn't say anything. And the only reason why I didn't say anything is because I felt that nobody was gonna do anything, because they were so like, oh, his mom passed away, oh, he don't have nobody. And then my grandma, which we was around, I'm like, that's her daughter, and I know she has pain from her passing and all of that, and I gotta just take on this burden of feeling like, no, nobody ain't gonna do nothing because they're gonna pity pat him because his mom passed away, period. That's the whole thing, is the reason why I didn't say nothing. In the beginning, I was confused, and after a while, I didn't say nothing because I felt like they was babying him because of that, you know. So I just fought my way silently out of the situation. But silently didn't get me nowhere, because he didn't care how much I fighted him, how much we cussed each other out, how much we argued, how much I hated him. He knew I hated him. He knew I didn't like him. It's like, he just knew it. It was just evil the way he kept just messing with me like that. You know what I'm saying? This is a lot to think about, to talk about, to do, to everything. It was times where I remember I didn't even want to go to school, and that's, like I said, I was a happy kid. In the beginning, I used to love school. School was, you couldn't keep me from school. I never missed a day. I was the one getting them awards for the attendance, you know, type thing. And then when that started, it's like I didn't even know where to be. I just was so upset and mad. I just went through a lot. God was always with me. I grew up in the church. I believe in God. I was just one of those kids, and it might be a unique kid, that I just felt like your parents or people that was around you should have knew it was something going on. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I watch everything, because I'm like, when you least expect it, somebody you know could be doing things that they shouldn't be doing. You know what I'm saying? And that was the case. I just was so angry at them, angry at everybody, angry at him, because I feel like you don't know, you don't understand. I'm not saying nothing, because it's like kind of like I was like muted but not muted, because I couldn't come out and say it, but I was just upset, and they kept saying, what's wrong with you? What's wrong? I couldn't say it. Another thing, I ended up going to Orlando, Florida, which I am today. Been here for a minute and a long time. I was staying with my aunt, and he came. It seemed like everywhere I go and stay, he ended up coming. So of course I was upset, but couldn't say or do anything about it, because again, they're gonna make it like, oh, his mom passed away, this and that, and you know, I just is like, okay, I gotta stay away from him. So my cousin, which I love my cousin so much, because even though he didn't know that he helped me without helping me, without knowing, because I used to stay in his room. I knew he used to lock his door. I knew that he wasn't going to come inside that room. He wasn't going in there. So I used to stay in there. And it was sometimes where I think my cousin's boyfriend used to come by. I used to have to sleep in the other room, and I used to have to get tormented by him. By this time, I think I was like 12. Another thing to pinpoint, the reason why it came to the conclusion that I wanted to say something, that I knew it was a wrong thing for him to be doing to me. My grandma, out of all people, I ain't saying she never asked me things. Like when I was younger, she used to always tell you, don't let nobody touch you down here, don't do that. But I wouldn't know what reason would she ask me, knowing I don't be around anybody else but her, him, and you know, my cousins and stuff, for her to say, is anybody touching me? And I'm thinking like, why would my grandma ask me that? So she made me feel like she didn't care, that she cared about me more than what I felt that she cared about. Like, she didn't care that, oh, that's her daughter's son. Like, if he touching me, she basically saying, girl, you better let me know, because he ain't finna be doing that type stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, this right here. But she still didn't know. I just was looking at her like shocked, like, why would she ask me, you know? How I found out that word of what he was doing to me, because she and another cousin of mine. They were both telling stories about, you know, people, I guess, in their family touching on, you know, kids in their family. And at that time, I was getting touched by somebody they knew, but they didn't know it. And I was just listening to them, and the word that they used, molesting, and I was like, that's what that is. I learned it. But then I couldn't tell my story. I act like ain't nothing happened to me. I was like, oh, I don't have a story. But I was so embarrassed because of that. When I found that out, I was so embarrassed of how they talked about the person that did it and how they was doing it. And it was just the same thing I was going through, but they didn't know, you know. So that's how I knew. I moved from my great aunt, which is my grandmother's sister, to my aunt, which is my dad's sister, which is his mom's sister. And also my grandma and him stayed there, which I didn't have a choice at the time because my grandma and stuff stayed there. So I stayed wherever my grandma was. But that didn't stop him from disrespecting any of them, because even though they stayed there, he still came and touched me. He still came in my room, still waking me up at night and stuff like that. And he's so evil, he wait till nighttime to do it. You know what I'm saying? And this particular incident, he didn't wait till the nighttime. It wasn't nobody at home, so it was kind of like his perfect chance to kind of like he wanted to rape me that day. That day, I could have been raped by him. You know, that was my first incident of me when I did research and see, because at that time I was like 13 years old, you know, and I just was like, God, please, I pray, God, don't let this happen like this. I do not want to be one of those people that have been raped by their family member. So I fought him, and I fought him, and I fought him, and I fought him, and I fought him off me. This day, he didn't have any clothes on. Imagine him running around with no clothes on. He was pulling my clothes down. I was fighting him. I was pulling the blinds of the curtains of the things down, trying to alert people. He was like, I don't care. And he just had, that day, I was like, okay, this is the day. It's like he gonna try to really rape me. And I was like, I'm not having it. And I was just fighting him and fighting him. I went and ran into the bathroom. When I ran into the bathroom, one of his friends, I don't know why it had to be God, that his friend opened the knob to the front door and it was unlocked, and he walked in. And when he walked in, he seen him with no clothes on, but he never seen what he was doing. But it helped me because he was trying to push the door, and I wasn't strong enough to keep him out of there. But being that the friend came, it had him where he had to direct the narrative to something else. So he had to put his clothes on and try to take his friend off. By that time, I was going to be gone out of there. After that incident had me, I went to back to my great aunt's house, and I stayed there with my cousin and slept in his bed, and I cried all night. I cried all day. I cried. So I couldn't cry anymore. God was just preparing me to tell. And the aunt that I told was the aunt that grew up in the household with him, which is the sister of his mother. So I got the courage up to let her know, and the way I said it, I just was like, blank is touching me. And that's basically how I worded it, just like a child. He's touching me. I didn't even know the words. So when I told her, I didn't use the word molested. I used, he's touching me. And she just was like, oh, she rushed, and we got in the car. We went over there to her house because he was staying over there at her house. My grandma was staying there too. So when we pulled up at her house, we walked in, my grandma was there. Me, my aunt, and my grandma sat in this my grandma's little small room. And I couldn't look at him. I looked just like this with my head down. And they asked him what I told them, which is, was he touching me? Which to this day, I don't really think that was the best way to do it, was to, like, I felt kind of like embarrassed in front of him. But like I said, however you can do it. A lot of times people don't know how to address this situation long as you do it. So they asked him, and then he just immediately got upset and angry and talking about trying to manipulate me, talking about trying to tell me to look him in the face and say, yeah, I did it. And I just kept looking down, and I said, I'll be around you. Only God can do it. So, on that note, you feel me? I gotta go. That was the end of this story time. I am so happy. The reason why I'm springing up, because I'm glad I'm done with this video. I don't have to talk about this lifetime anymore right now. But if anybody have any questions about it, signs of it, any videos you want me to put up about this type of subject, or any sexual abuse subject, or any abuse subjects, or anything that you would like me to do or want to see, I want you guys to like, comment, subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe and support the channel. I will be hosting a giveaway at 1,000 subscribers. If you want to be part of that, enter by subscribing and commenting when you're done. So it's your girl, the baddest, and till next story time, I'm out. Off the meter, I'm the leader. I be going in. I got the paper to spin. I got the finest trend. I never lose, I win. I'm a cage animal, I'm the pen. I'm a hard dick, I be making ends. Goons bumping 1,000 in the desert. Ain't no fountains, I conquer.